Hi there. Good
Hello.
evening. Lisa and Trell here. So we wanted to come on tonight and we were just talking and we were talking about, before we were married, we were single. So we wanted to come on and just talk to the single folks that want to be married and just kind of look back at our singlehood and talk about some things that we now know that are important as, we look back. So you want to start?
No.
No, as usual. Well, I would just say that when Trell and I met, I was divorced. Trell had never been married, and I don't know where I was. I was in that place where I was kind of like, I'm so done with men. I
Mhm.
really was. I was like, I keep getting this thing wrong. I'm just gonna be single and raise my kids. And I was just depending on the Lord to help me because I was struggling financially and I was just in this place. It was just me and the kids. And so that's where I was. Where were you?
Well, I've always had this desire to be married. So, and I knew what the Lord had already told me when I was a child. So, but just the fact that once I heard him, what he had told me, it just all the time I kind of put it in the closet.
What did he tell you?
Well, he had already told me my wife's name. I don't want to go into detail and say all that. It,
I know the story.
I was in, a long time ago. I was in the first grade, pretty much, told me my wife's name. So anyway,
And he said the Lord told him his wife was named Lisa. And it's so funny because my name, well, I worked with his sister and she called me Melissa. So when she introduced me to her brother, Trell, she said, "This is my friend Melissa." And so Trell started calling me Melissa. But I go by Lisa. And so that's the name that's very personal to me. So when I hear Melissa, it's like saying Mrs. Willingham.
hmm
And so Terrell kept calling me Melissa. And one day I just said to him, like, you cannot call me Melissa and be this close to me. You can't do it. Like, you have to call me Lisa. And I think that's what
yeah,
reminded you.
and that made me brought it back to my remembrance to what God had said a long time ago. Because a lot of times when you heard from God, but then you try to do like make your own path,
Yeah.
so you try to make other girls or your wife, and but you already know what God said, but so it
And
was
we
good.
know God put us together because I don't know if you've seen the other testimony that we did, but um, when Trell's sister, I had worked with his sister, and she invited me to come over, and I didn't usually accept those type of invitations. She was having an Easter gathering, and I didn't usually accept it because I had three kids, and it was just too much work. In my mind, it was like it's just too much work to try to take these kids, and then the whole time be reprimanding them for touching this, and sit down or whatever. So I was about to say no, and the Lord spoke to me and said, "I have something there for you." And I'm telling you, I heard it just as clear. And before I could say no, he said, "I have something there for you." And so I said yes. And then as that week went on, I just kept hearing, "I have something there for you. I have something there for you." And when I got there, it was so strong. I looked in the door and I was just like really looking for it. Like, what in the world is here for me? And he had just moved down from
hmm
Mississippi about a month before. And I remember responding, "A man, Lord," because I'm like,
Actually, same pretty
oh,
much.
you had just moved the same
Yeah.
month, but and then the whole Lisa thing, and you know, and he asked for, I could tell he was interested in me, and I was like, oh no, 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 I can't go down this road again, and but I just could not deny that I heard the Lord say something was there for me. So then I was like, well, if this is the Lord, then I don't want to throw it away. So I ended up giving him my phone number. And yeah, that's literally how we started. We started dating. And it was funny because we ended up renting this movie one time. And
hmm
this movie. It was
If
so
anybody know this
weird.
movie, let me know. It's got Lisa and Trail in it. But
Yes,
anyway,
the lady's name was Lisa. The guy's name was Trell. I
mm,
mean, literally, she had three kids. It was like everything about us and where we were on this journey was like happening in this movie. And it was just this random movie that we
right,
picked up from Blockbuster. And we were sitting there watching it and like, this is really strange. This
right.
kind of looks
It was a
like
low budget
it
movie.
was a low budget movie, but we were like, this
Yeah,
like it's like it's telling our life like
right.
right now. And at the end of the movie, there was
They
like
said
this
this movie was not
made after
anybody. Yeah,
anybody or
yeah.
so it was something weird and that made it even weirder, so it
Yeah,
was
we
just
looked at each other like, huh?
this is strange.
I mean, it was
And they
literally.
ended up getting married in the movie.
Yeah,
At that time we were not married, but they ended up getting married in the movie, but it was just so weird.
yeah. I'm still trying to find that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But I think our one, I think we when we talked about, maybe coming on and talking to the singles, the one piece of advice I think we both agreed on was that if you desire to be married, then you have to date someone who also desires
Yeah,
to be married.
yeah.
That's
Oh
so
yeah.
important.
We need to find out where they at. I'm
Y-
just saying, really, from the get go, it's kind of like if it runs them off by saying, okay, do you plan to be married? Do you want to get married? Then if they said no, then they want to run off, hey, let them run. I don't care how
Yeah,
good they look to you or whatever. But I'm just saying this. You got to have a desire, to want to be married.
to want to be married
Yeah.
because if you get with someone who does not want to be married, you're
Yeah.
just wasting time. You're just literally wasting time.
Because literally, I remember when I was dating one of these girls before I moved here,
Uh-huh.
and she was married, but she was separated. She had
Mm,
been separated for like years, probably like 10 years or so.
mm.
But she had told me that she was never gonna get a divorce.
Oh, that's what she.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was like, okay, then why am I wasting my time? So it was time for me to go after that. There was nothing that could hold me down. I was just
Right.
like,
If you want to be married, you have to be with someone who wants to be married. And you have to, really think about like why you are dating. Because um, it was funny when this lady at work, she found out I had a Christian counseling degree, and she was like, "Well, you're a counselor, so a counselor's a counselor." She wasn't a believer, and so she wants some advice from me. And so she's sitting there telling me this whole thing, and the whole time she's telling me about, this dating relationship that she's in, I'm sitting there talking to the Lord, saying, Lord, what am I going to tell her about relationships? And she's not even a believer. What can I offer her? What can I tell her? And the Lord spoke to me and said, ask her why she's dating. And I thought, oh, well, sure. I pretty much thought I would know her answer. And then when I said to her, I said, well, why are you dating? She said, what? And I said, why are you dating? She said, what do you mean, why am I dating? I said, well, why is it that you're dating? And she was like, I don't know. I don't
hmm,
know why I'm dating. She's like, that's a good question. And she just said, that is a really good question. I need to go and figure out why I'm dating. And I think that is a good question.
yeah,
You have to know why you're dating. Like, what do you want out of this relationship? Because if you know why you're dating, then everything that you do will go along with your purpose. So if you're dating because you want to find your husband, then you would not date someone that does not want to be married. You wouldn't waste your time, right? You would try to find out some things in the beginning, right? Because if you desire to be married and you know what kind of husband do you want? Is it important to you that he's a believer? You know? And so if you're desiring to be married and you're looking for your spouse, you want to, find your spouse, and it's important that your spouse is a believer, then you would not waste time with someone who doesn't want to get married, and you would not waste some time with someone who's not a believer. And so, and those are just a couple things, and there's more, but I mean, you have to be intentional about, you know, what you're doing, who you're dating, why you're dating them, and how you're dating them. Because you don't want to get too close, in a lot of ways. You don't want to get too
That
close.
bond that you be like don't want to let them go, but you got benefits, stuff like that. So stuff on benefits. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Or
it's true. I mean, we didn't do that
you,
right.
you have somebody just pay half of the rent or whatever.
Yes, we didn't do that right. Let's be honest. We were not submitted to God when we were dating or when we got married. We were not submitted to God. So, it was very messy. Um, I did get the one knee though proposal. I did. That was pretty good that you got done. That was real humble. I was like, oh my goodness, like, but and I remember too at a point, like I knew when I wanted to marry Tro, and but he had not asked, and so I started to say to him like, okay, where's this going?
Right.
And he was just like, what do you mean, where's it going? I'm like, I want to know.
Even though I wanted to be married, I still was kind of nervous about a commitment like that. Us guys, we always gonna have that commitment part where, what if it don't go right, or I don't want to have to get a divorce, but you just have to take that chance. Not just take a chance, but you already know what you. Don't be fearful. That's the part of it. I was kind
Mhm.
of fearful of getting married
Mhm.
in this. You're fearful about things that you really don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Because getting married for the first, even though it was your second time, I always told you, you used to it. You already, whatever. I, I'm new at this. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I was kind of didn't want to be, but all those guys got in our mind that was trap. You know, So,
Like as if we're gonna
but
take
but
something
but but
from them.
but my thing is,
We you getting something.
right? But we
You
can live together. But then you don't want to be married to a person. That was like, okay, if I can do this, I can do that.
right. But
So
then if you get into that place where you're in that trap where you allow someone to just live with you and not make a commitment and not really, you know, like I would do things totally different now, you know, having now my life submitted to Christ, I would do things so differently than I did back then.
but there's more benefits of being married than not being married.
Like what?
Um, I'm just saying, first, it's a lot of peace for one.
Now it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It didn't used to
Right.
be.
There's a lot of benefits from it. You know.
There are, and for me, it's like we're a team, and so I know that he has my back and I have his back, and so I know that I'm not doing life alone, and I'm certainly not doing it alone because I have the Lord, but in the physical, I'm not doing it alone. So you know, there's he's always someone that knows those he knows all of it,
The benefit comes more when you're in Christ, and you're in Christ, and you can really walk together, and you
Yeah,
come in agreement with things, because that agreement is a big key of it. But you can be married to somebody and not agree, and that can be awful.
that's
You know,
very awful.
I mean, push and pull,
Yeah.
even come with kids type stuff. And then we come into agreement about
hmm
we learn to come in agreement.
We learned
Yeah,
that we don't move forward
yeah.
things unless we are in agreement. Try not to at least. And I would just tell you the Bible says, "How can two walk together unless they agree?"
Right.
And you know, one of the things that as Christian believers, one of the things that's most important to us is our relationship with God. And so when you get married to a person, if they don't agree with what's most important to you,
Right.
then it's probably not that's
Even to come
not
to
a
your
good
bank
choice.
account, because
Yeah.
when we first got married, you know, you had your account, I had my account.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you pay your part of the rent, I pay my part of the rent.
Yeah.
It was literally not one.
We were not one. No, we were fighting for
Yeah.
power, and we were always arguing over trying to get our way. And
Mhm.
so now we compromise more. And you know, um, in that dating season that we were we were dating, I will just tell you that there were things during that dating season that I saw that said to me that this was not a good idea to get married. You know,
I
you
don't, no, I don't.
you don't remember that?
Oh yeah,
We had 12 years, so it continued on. So
it was like that when we got married. We went down there. What happened?
yes, the lady said this is where you get married and this is where you get your
You know,
divorce because
you know,
we
she
were
said you get your divorce
over
over
there
there.
because we were arguing in the line. We had we had our actual ceremony in Mississippi, and at the time Mississippi was still doing blood tests to make sure you weren't related. And so we had went to get our marriage license, and they were like, "Well, you have to do a blood test. It's going to take a week to get the results back." And so we were like, So we ended up just getting married here at the courthouse, and then doing our ceremony a week later in Mississippi. But and it was so funny because I'm thinking this is just a formality. I'm like, this is just a formality. We're gonna go get this marriage license, and then our real marriage day is going to be when we go and have the ceremony. And so we got the marriage license, and I'm like, okay, great.
No,
But we were
we
arguing in
are
the
all
line.
the way,
We
all the way
argued
down to
all the
the
way
courthouse
there
driving.
in the line, and the lady was like, "Here's
She
where
could
you."
see that. She could see how we was. She could see it in our eyes. Like, people getting married already.
Here's
And
where you
so,
get married. Here's where you get
but you don't
divorced.
remember her saying that. She said it to me. She said, "You get married here, but you get divorced over there." I looked at that lady. I'm like, "You tell me, well, I'm gonna get a divorce." You know what I'm saying? That was a challenge for me when she said that.
Yeah. But we've learned, right? We've learned how to get along.
That's bad.
But it was what was really funny though is after we got the marriage license and we were technically married. And so I was like, okay, we got that done. So now next week we'll go to the ceremony. So Charles like, I'm married, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm married. I'm like, oh yeah, technically, yeah, we are married.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal for him. It was a big deal for me too. I was more so looking at
Ceremony.
the ceremony
Yeah.
as the actual marriage, but we were technically married. So we actually, for a long time, we would celebrate both days as our anniversary, the 19th and the 27th. But, um, but yeah, we just wanted to come on and just give some advice to those people that are single, and that desire to be married. And like I said, you got to know why you're dating, what's your purpose, and you have to go into dating with a purpose. Don't just date anybody. And if the person you have to find out some stuff about them. Do they love the Lord? Is their life submitted to the Lord? Um, and also is your life submitted to the Lord? Because a lot of times women say, I want to marry a Christian man, but if your life is not submitted to the Lord, then the Lord's not going to send you a Christian man whose life is submitted to Him. You have to both be in that place where you're submitted, and and then you have to be intentional, and you need to find out who this person is, what they are, and you have to pay
And
attention.
I don't get a lot of ways of friends that been been staying together, living together for so many years,
Yeah.
and not want to get married. I'm just saying, I really don't.
People say, it's just a piece of paper and all that kind of stuff, and I'll just tell you, this is
It's,
one situation that happened not too long ago, and this lady, she had been living with this man 20 something years, and they never got married, and he was on a ladder, and he fell and broke his neck and died, and it was like she had no say. I mean, it was the house they were living in.
right.
His kids put her out because in his name, and literally she had no say over his funeral. She had no say over anything, and they had been together over 20 something years, living together, and it was sad. It
Well,
was so sad.
but it's a covenant that you pretty much you get married.
And the law is recognized, right?
Right.
So, like, sometimes, people call for trial. I'm like, I'm his wife. I do too. When somebody calls for you, like, this is his wife. Like, we're one. Like, what do you
Oh yeah,
need?
yeah. The to get the legal right to go to your mail,
Yes,
everything.
I'm like,
I
he's
mean,
like, is that my mail? I'm like, I am Mrs. Martrellis Willingham, so I open it.
yeah.
Well, I'm just the financial person. I'm not controlling. I'm just the financial person of the house, so I need to know all the information. So when he gets some mail, I need to know what is this? Is it something that I need to know? Because
It
sometimes
probably be
he'll
3 weeks.
just
It'll be 3 weeks later. I'm like, where's my mail at? You know, my mail up and discarded
he'll
it.
just go get a credit card and not tell me.
What?
And I'm like,
Do
what?
you do when you get a credit card? Do you tell me?
No, because I'm the financial planner of the house. But sometimes he'll do stuff like that, and then he'll be like, how do I
Just
pay
pay
this
the just
credit
pay the
card?
bill.
Like, how do, and I'm like, what credit card? Give it to
No,
me, and then I have to figure out what
you'll
he's
get the
done,
notice
what
Monday.
he spent, how much I have to pay, So yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to drag this out. I just wanted to come on and just say a couple of things. And just encourage some of the single folks out there. There are some men out there that want to be married for the ladies,
They do.
and men. There are a lot of ladies out there that want to be married, and it really is being intentional. And don't just date somebody because they think you're attractive, or just date somebody because they like you. I mean, you got to find out some stuff. You have to be intentional. And I just have to give Leah so much kudos. That girl, Leah. Oh my goodness. She goes into like someone's interested in her. She's like, okay, who's the person? What you about? She really does a good. And when she feels like no, I don't think this is the person that I want to marry. She cuts it off, and we're like, but you know what? That's smart because she just doesn't want to waste time. You know.
Oh,
And
no.
it doesn't say anything bad about the people that she, was with. She just felt like this is not the person I want to marry. And for one reason or another, not that they, were, not good marriage candidates. She's just really intentional about what she wants in a marriage.
And I remember I used to always say, now I know why they used to prearrange marriages. Because don't nobody want to get married.
He says that
I'm
all
just
the
saying,
time.
I'm just like, that's something that need to come back.
No, it
It's like,
doesn't, Trell.
they
No, it
really
doesn't.
do.
It does
People
not.
don't get married, and that's just a lot of people around here trying to figure out what they or what they should do. But, you know, it should be arranged marriages.
Oh, well, hopefully something we said meant something to somebody or helped somebody something. So thank you for listening and God bless you and have a nice evening.
Good night.
Good night.